Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the EKN Debrief. It's episode number 64, Tuesday, February the 25th. Myself, Rob Howden, along with David Cole, will review the event we were at last weekend, the Rock Cup USA Challenge of the Americas race, rounds 3 and 4 at Cal Speed Karting in Fontana, California. Lots to talk about on this edition of the Debrief. The racing was wild. It was Cal Speed always kind of lends itself to some tremendous racing, and we got that for sure. I had a couple of issues with some ambulance runs for the first time in a number of years on the challenge. That put us off schedule a little bit. Threat of rain, a little bit of rain on Saturday. A lot of stuff to make it an intriguing weekend, all told. This edition of the EKN Debrief is being presented by Acceleration Kart Racing. Acceleration Kart Racing has everything you need to go racing, from tires to helmets. They have a great website for you to order from, and kart racers ready to pick up the phone and answer your questions 6 days a week. With over 20 years of kart racing under their belts, Acceleration Kart Racing has the experience to help you succeed on the track. You can rely on them to get the parts you need when you need them. Make Acceleration Kart Racing your go-to source for everything karting. All right, David Cole, let's jump into this bad boy. Overall, a solid weekend at Cal Speed. You know, we going in when we did the outlap, it looked like it was going to be great weather. Then a cell of rain formed off in the Pacific, and it kind of was tracking to come in. It made things really interesting, that's for sure.
It was a very unique and interesting weekend. I think, going into the weekend, I think the focal point and the positive is it was a record-breaking event. We'll dive a little bit more into the numbers, but to set that mark of 141 entries to be the biggest event for Challenge of the Americas in 13 seasons, I think that says a lot about what Andy Seisman and his crew has been able to do over those 13 seasons of the ups and downs of the sport of karting, the economy, the industry, the way things shake up, and just the fact that they're able to be on the upward swing of something right now.
Yeah, David, you're right. There's that baseline of the Challenge of the Americas that comes from the staff, the experienced staff. They're just great people, right? Bottom line is they're great people, and that's the way they treat all the racers as customers and friends, and it's just a great atmosphere there for sure. But like you said, the Challenge most definitely on the upswing right now. Of course, Andy making the move to the Rock program from Rotax a couple of years ago. Now we're into the third year with the Rock, midway through the 13th season of the program. There's definitely momentum there. They'll hopefully build that off into the California Rock Championship throughout the year. And then, of course, the 2021 challenge next January. We look forward to seeing if that can kind of springboard, step up to the point where they're not launching with 101, we're launching with 140. That'll be the call for 2020 or 2021. David, the 8th visit for the program to Cal Speed, running the Grande circuit counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 passing opportunities, you think, on that racetrack?
1. I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5,
7,
6, 7. I mean, there's many. Again,
a lot.
Racing opens up doors sometimes that you typically wouldn't see when you're just looking at the racetrack. Sure. Different categories race the racetrack differently than other categories. So yeah, again, a lot of the racetracks that we do go to, a lot of passing opportunities. Grande, a very utilized circuit in the multi-configuration that is Cal Speed karting. It has elevation change. That's again something that you don't think of when you're talking about a parking lot racetrack. So that adds a little bit element to it, and it was good racing overall, clean racing. A few penalties here and there, some pushback penalties here and there, but really, I think the main thing, other than the overall racing, was the delays we had. I think that's really the only negative we had on the whole weekend.
Well, I know Andy was kind of taken aback by it a little bit because it had been like 4 years, I think, since they had a red flag and ambulance run. And Cal Speed's not a place where the ambulance run works well. It's so expensive to get the ambulance there. I think it's $1,500 a day or something like that. So they have the one ambulance there, as any program does, has an ambulance trackside. But the rules for the track, of course, Cal Speed Karting on the same, it's owned by, or there's the facility, the track itself, the property owned by the Auto Club Speedway, right? The NASCAR program. So they have a couple of their own rules. If somebody gets hurt and requires an ambulance around, that ambulance has to go to the hospital and wait for that person to get admitted, everything gets handled before they kind of turn them over to the hospital, then they come back. So it's common thought, David, that essentially an ambulance run means the track is going to be down for an hour. And the only way to fix that is to have two ambulances. You're adding another $4,500 onto the budget, which again, that's got to go to the racers have to pay that. They have to absorb it. And you know what? If there was 250 drivers, well, it's pretty easy to it's not pretty easy, but you can justify putting another $4,500 into your budget for the race weekend. It's tough to do when you have 95 or whatever it may be. Now, this record number kind of came in late, but still, that's a lot of dough to be able to do that. And in having that particular deal this weekend, we actually ended up having 3 ambulance runs. And it pushed us to the point where we got so late on Saturday that 3 of the main events had to get run on Sunday morning. That addition to the Sunday morning pushed us late in the race again. Late in the day on Sunday, we had an incident in the micro and mini category that required another run to the hospital with the ambulance. Now, thankfully, David, everybody was okay. But, we did the podiums for the first, 6 classes or whatever it was. And then it was, okay, shifters and 100C seniors, it's sunset. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to run some main events at Sonoma on the Friday? Or do we cut the races and run in the dark? Well, the 100cc senior, David, it was decent. It was like essentially right at sunset. But man, those shifter car guys, they went deep into the essentially darkness at the end.
Well, that was the one thing we kept cluing on was what was the time of the sunset, because when the time the sunset goes is scheduled for, you still have that buffer zone before it gets completely dark of sunlight, thankfully, because there were no clouds in the sky. Now, if there were clouds in the sky, I guaranteed we would not have been able to get that race in.
Agreed. Yeah.
It would have been way too dark, because as it was on lap 10, it was very, very hard to see. I'm surprised even the racers were able to see the checkered flag. Thankfully, it's white in there and not all black or some other dark color. So they were able to see that. And again, they drove smart. Nothing too crazy. Again, drivers kind of slotted into position, and again, it was basically a qualifying session because it was only 10 laps. So it was go as hard as you could, as safe as you could, and guys were still again pushing it to the limit. But to be able to handle the conditions that it was in was very stellar for all those drivers involved, including the senior 100cc category as well. But yeah, just again, as you said, thankfully no drivers were seriously injured in the 3 transports that were taken. And we'll talk a little bit more in the wrap up about thoughts on that situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Weather-wise, as we give you the overview of rounds 3 and 4 of the Challenge of the Americas here on episode 64 of the EKN Debrief, Friday was absolutely perfect. 79 degrees and sunny. I know that for you and I, David, it was pretty much an 80-degree swing. When I left my place and got in the car to go to the airport at 3:30 in the morning on Thursday morning, it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit at home. So the 80-degree swing felt pretty good. As we said, when we did the outlap, it looked our preview podcast, it looked like we were going to have a pretty good weekend. Well, then the forecast, of course, we did that on the Monday. The forecast started to evolve a little more, and rain that was expected to come actually on Saturday was actually just spotty, David. It didn't pour hard. We had rain come. It messed a bit with the main event for the master shifter drivers. That spilled over into a drying track that kind of changed the way things went with the Rock Senior. We can talk more about that later. And then that sun that we expect to come back on Sunday actually didn't come to the very, very end of the day. It rained overnight, and we had a wet track in the morning as well on Sunday.
Yeah, I think for the most part, going into the weekend, we thought we were going to have a full day of wet. Yeah. We didn't get that, so that was good. And as you said,
people were bracing for it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, we were getting ready for it all day Saturday. It never really came. We had a little bit of a sprinkle come down. It soaked the racetrack for one of the main events and provided some drama for another right after that. And again, as you said, Sunday was where we had a lot of the wet track because it rained overnight. and the Saturday events that got moved over to Sunday began on wet and then ended in dry, and then it was dry the rest of the weekend. So overall, a solid weather weekend for what was forecasted.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All in all, an overall a great weekend, like you said, which the racing was tremendous. Let's jump into the by the numbers, which we do each edition of our podcast here, the Debrief podcast. 107 entries for Tucson. We bump up to 141. The new record is, as David, you already mentioned, for the challenge. We were expecting the Cal Speed bump. And I think that you and I were both like, okay, 107 at Tucson. You know what? 10% growth. Let's go maybe 125. We get 125. Hey, you know what? Then we can maybe think about that record of 133. Well, man, we kind of blew right by it. We were 137 pre-entries on Thursday by the time we had some walk-up on Thursday. And it's almost, David, like that pre-entry, the excitement of those pre-entries kind of jumped some more guys, getting them going, and we ended up at 141, which was fantastic. Actually, there was 143, I think. A couple of guys entered and didn't run. Ron Eubanks being one of them, popped some ribs after practice on Friday, so he wasn't able to race. He tuned for Tommy Contino instead. We probably could have had 142, 143.
Well, I think having that base of Los Angeles, a lot of racers there, a lot of racers wanting to race, that helps provide that bump. As we talked about Tucson, not having a local contingent, it's hard to bring a bump from just the series regulars that we have. So again, across the board, we had either the same or more entries than we did in Tucson. So again, a positive move in the right direction. Sonoma is going to have that same type of scenario where we're going to have more entries in Tucson. It's a matter of if we can get as many local drivers to come out in Sonoma as what we had in Cal Speed.
If you look at some of the numbers, we had talked about the weak link in Tucson. We're kind of that mini and micro group with they only had 7 drivers in total. 14 this time. We added 1 micro driver and we added 6 mini rocks. So I ended up with the 10 in the mini rock, exactly the same 16 drivers, not the same ones, but the same total of 16 drivers for junior. Dave, good to see the bump in the senior rock category up to 14 as well. That single digit 9 in Tucson. In fact, only 8 actually raced at Tucson. We ended up going to 14. That I looked at that as being one of the big positives, I think, this weekend.
Well, I think it was all one team with Nash Motorsports bringing, I believe, 4 or 5 drivers to the event with the Ports and Brienza and a couple other drivers joining the fight as well. So that was a good bump, and I think you'll see that again because there's a lot of senior contingent in Northern California. So we'll hopefully keep in double digits in that category.
We talked a lot about it throughout the weekend on the EKN broadcast, the Trackside Live broadcast, that we talk about 141 drivers. Man, this is awesome, brand new record. But I always at least kind of added in the same fact that we had, I think, at one point, 51 drivers in shifter. And that's right now one of the big shining lights for the challenge program is that they've developed such a great shifter program. 27 in the senior rock class, 22 in masters rock. It ends up being 49 drivers who ran, but as I said, a couple of drivers didn't end up running. Ron Eubanks being one of them, top of my mind. I can't think of the other driver. There were 51 entered at one point. But Dave, the rock shifter stuff was fun to watch. It was just a lot of guys out there hammering down. The racing was tremendous in both categories, and we got some different winners too, which is cool.
Yeah, it's always good to see shifter kart racing grow in numbers because we've had a little bit of some uncertainty late in the recent years. So the Rock Shifter program is certainly soaring. As we said with the Florida Winter Tour, I believe they had 55 between the two categories at the Florida Winter Tour. So the challenge almost matching that number just again shows you. So there's over 100 shifter kart drivers alone right there in the country. And then you add the many more that are in different regions around the country and up in Canada as well. So shifter kart racing is still there. It's just getting everybody to the racetrack.
Yeah, it's a challenge right now. We went for essentially 25 years with that Honda CR125. Back in the mid 90s, the Honda CR125 was kind of the shifter engine of choice. But guys like Alan Rudolph were on the Yamaha. At one point, Kawasaki came in with a full team deal. We had the Kawasaki Team Green trailer. They had a bunch of Kawasaki's. There was guys on the Suzuki RM80s back in the day, too, in the 90s. Husqvarna came in for a bit with Champion Racing. But it was 25 years, David, with that CR125. I think people can lament the fact of whatever that program ended up being under the stock Honda program. But, parts began to get hard to source. And the bottom line is an evolution was coming. We all knew that there was going to be some kind of an evolution. It hasn't been easy. SKUSA brought the 175 out with their concept of having a beefy motor that they could run at 60% capacity to keep the longevity. Rock, of course, had the shifter in their program. Miami has a shifter in their program as well. And we're just in an evolution right now. And it'll eventually settle in. And of course, with this Rock Cup program, it's settling in nicely. They're getting great numbers in the shifter program. Last but not least, as we look at by the numbers, David, I think another one of the big highlights last year, Uncle Jimmy Gregory was the only guy out there for the first two races in 100cc Masters. Myself, Calvin Chen, and another driver joined. Craig Yeske joined at Sonoma to have 4. But dude, double digits this particular weekend. They had 7 in Tucson, 10 this time at Cal Speed. I think the 100cc program is great for Masters drivers, a little easier on the body than the Rock shifter, the GP engine. I like it. 10 guys in the category. I hope we see it keep growing.
I think you will, because again, it calls to regional drivers, not those Billy Clevelands or Derek Wangs or many of the other national ranked Masters drivers that we typically see. It draws to regional racers, so it provides them the opportunity to come in and race at the national or international level, and yet to have that growth certainly helps, and it provided some great racing as well too.
Yeah, indeed. All right, folks, we're getting things underway. Let's go up to our first break here on the EKN Debrief. Of course, it's an opportunity for us to dive into this Rock Cup USA Challenge of the Americas event that David and I attended last week in Fontana, California. It was great to get out there with the Coda family as well. I smashed some burgers on Friday night. That was a ton of fun as well. Bottom line now is when we get back after this break, time to jump into the paddock pass. We've got a couple things to talk about, not on track, but stuff that happened in the paddock itself. Stay with us, folks. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. "2019 was a great year, no question. But the offseason is here, and I know that your mind is already thinking about next season. We all want to get better and improve our skills and our racecraft. And maybe you're tired of missing the podium or even the championship. So what do? Here's what I think. Take a breather from throwing money at the newest speed secret and a new chassis you don't quite need yet. Invest in yourself. Take yourself to the next level as a driver. If you want to improve your results, do what every athlete does, regardless of the sport. Get professional coaching. And in karting, there's only one choice. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston. Alan Rudolph is a legend in our sport, and he's been a coach for over 15 years. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for 2020 by calling 866-607-7223 or head to speedsportsracingpark.com to learn more. Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and safety gear to get you on the track. ShopAKRA.com offers a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure that all the latest equipment is available to you, the consumer. With customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price. Be sure to visit shopakra.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Also, follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials, clearance items, and new products. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode number 64 of the EKN Debrief, Tuesday, February the 25th. Time to jump into the paddock pass right now, brought to you by Stilo USA. As a world leader in personal racing safety products, Simpson Performance Products is now the official North American distributor for Stilo helmets. In addition to their popular auto racing helmets, Stilo is excited to have made their move into karting. Stilo has two helmets designed and manufactured specifically for karting: the ST5 CMR 2016 for kids and the ST5 Kart Snell K 2015 adult karting helmet. For more information, check them out at www.simpsonperformanceproducts.com/Stilo or by following them on social media at Stilo USA. All right, David, paddock pass time. We'll talk about some of the cool stuff that you and I saw from the time we got into the gate till we got into the booth at our trackside location, Cooper Tire Broadcast Center. Bottom line is this. We probably should have asked Andy Saisman for some kind of VIP parking. Because I think you and I probably got about 2,000 steps in on the old iWatch walking from where we had to park. Because of course we don't arrive at 7:00 in the morning like the guys have to be on track at 7:30. We roll a little later than that. Dude, we were all the way down like NASCAR. We were almost on the back straightaway of Auto Club Speedway. How far away we had to park. That paddock was packed.
When you get the record numbers, you're going to have a full paddock, and that's kind of what happened. Again, parking is a very slim area. It's not like a big field like at other facilities you have, so you only have a couple rows you got to go through. You actually have to walk around, like you said, that NASCAR turns 3 and 4, and we were essentially parked in NASCAR turn 3. And had to walk all the way down towards NASCAR turn 4 where the grid is and everybody is set up. So it was a full house certainly for the weekend. Lots of haulers, lots of cars, lots of people, and even spectators, people from the area not racing, but people filling up the grandstands that were there pit side.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You know, one of the interesting things, David, when we call these races and you and I are trying to, we always try to put the chassis names in our race reports so that it helps the industry, whatever it may be. One of the things we see a lot of OTK product wherever we go, right? There's Tony Karts, there's Cosmics, Esprit, Red Speed, FA, whatever it may be. The two contrasting ones I thought were really, really interesting. There was only 6 OTK karts in 100C Senior. Stark contrast to Rock Junior, which was 80% OTK, with 13 OTKs and only 3 other brands in Rock Junior in Ital Course, VME, and Comp Kart. It was interesting to see in that 100cc so many different karts, right? You had the Comp Karts, you had the VMEs in the middle of that fight. There was a lot of different chassis. I thought the chassis spectrum was really balanced, all told among all the categories.
I think that's kind of a general consensus with the lower horsepower categories is a lot of the different. It's a more diverse chassis brand chassis area with the lower horsepower. You get more brands that it kind of levels out the playing field. I not to be rude to all the other brands, but OTK is primarily one of the most world renowned chassis brands. Yeah. That we know of, and one of the more popular ones, as we know, it's won, I believe, our Constructors Championship for the last 9 years that we've been doing it when we review major events over the season. So it's again, there's many OTK karts around the world, and I think the lower horsepower categories provide that opportunity for a more diverse field regarding chassis brands. It's more of a level playing field. Not everything. I'm not very technical on it. I don't know why it is, but it just kind of seems that way because we see it in Briggs. You see a lot of different chassis brands be successful in the Briggs categories, and you go back to the Yamaha days. A lot of different brands were successful in that as well too. So. There's no clear-cut chassis, I think, that leads the way in the 100cc field.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to driver as well. That's the big thing too, right? In the lower horsepower categories. In that senior class, a Praga for Oliver Calvo, the GFC for Eddie Schimann, Mike Hendricks on an Aluminos, Alex Saragusa, Jackson Dunn on Comp Karts, Colby Dubato on a Ricardo, a lot of different chassis for sure. And the same goes for actually in the senior shifter class as well. Man, it was all GFC and Burrell essentially up front. We'll talk more about that a little later. Another part of the paddock pass I thought was interesting, Dave, as you go down through the order, right? We had 3 different multi-driver families actually as part of the action. We don't see a lot of that, but 3 different families having multiple drivers at the challenge.
Yeah, karting is a family sport. What better way than to do it with your siblings, or say father-son duos racing together, or father-daughters, or again, you see that with dad being the mechanic and the son or daughter racing. So again, karting is a family sport. It's great to see them a lot of it together. And again, overall, karting is a big family. We may not be blood related, but again, we're there looking out for each other. Again, in certain situations, people step up to help up. We've talked about that in the past with a lot of different charities and the GoFundMes and stuff like that. So karting is a big family, and it's cool. And it's interesting to see how siblings do race against each other, though, isn't it?
yeah, no doubt. Hallie and Cole Schroeder, Edward and Jonathan Ports, and the Castles family, Kyle, Aaron, Sydney, and Ryan, all racing at the event at Fontana, which I thought was tremendous. And it was interesting with Haley and Cole Schroeder. I think she was quicker in the junior rock, and he was faster in the 100cc junior, I think. I think
it was the other way around.
Was it the other way around? Are you sure?
It was the other way around.
All right. Well, you're the one that put the results in all weekend long, so
don't forget Cameron Castles, who I believe is the father of all the other Castles. So you had father racing all his. I don't know if all the children are racing, but there's 4 of them racing, and then mom's watching over everybody, and then the whole rest of the team with. Redlands and Joey Guion there overseeing the race team a little bit. So that's an interesting dynamic for that 10.
Yeah, no doubt about that. One of the other cool bits that we have here to cap off this edition of the Paddock Pass, brought to you this particular show by Stilo USA, was the series debut of Catalyst Driver Development. It's a new program with 3 drivers that we've watched race for the last number of years: Ramo Rossetti, Scott Hargrove, and Stefan Rudzinski. They work with Italkart. They ran Italkart when they were younger. Michael Valiante was there with the team as well, so the chassis on Italkarts. But it's essentially these ex-karters and kind of pro drivers, David, who that want to get back to karting. They want to get a karting program going. They're coaching all these guys under the Catalyst Driver Development. They had 4 drivers. It was just good to see them there. It was good to see the Italkart out there doing well. I thought it was a tremendous addition to the paddock, this particular race.
Yeah, it was a great addition. Brought more numbers into the shifter kart ranks. Again, bringing the Italkart into the mix with the Challenge of the Americas. I don't think we've ever really seen the Italkart be part of the challenge back when it was road sacks, maybe 1 or 2 here or there. Yeah. Calvin Chen was among the racers racing in Tucson, along with Nick DeGraff in the Master 100cc category. So again, as you kind of mentioned earlier about the different brands in the different categories, we keep adding brands to the Challenging Americas as we get record numbers. So more entries we get, the more brands that we have racing with the program.
That's it. All right, time for David and I to start into the race report. We'll go class by class through and kind of talk about what happened on track, what we were able to see from our vantage point up there in turn number 11. We'll have a quick break, folks. When we get back, it's time for the race report. 25 years of experience, 25 years of success. Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports are heading into their 3rd decade in the sport with winning momentum and the best material possible. Last year's monumental victories at the Rock the Rio and SCUSA Super Nationals have proven what the sport has long known. Greg Bell is one of the finest karting tuners, and he and his drivers can get the job done. Looking for a change in equipment? Get on board with Leading Edge Motorsports. Leading Edge is North America's factory team for Formula K and Praga karts, and the new 2020 models are in stock and ready for pickup or shipping to your garage. Do you want to win like Danny Formal did with Leading Edge in Las Vegas? Call Greg Bell today at 209-369-0921 to secure your place on the team. Leading Edge Motorsports will be trackside in 2020 at the Challenge of the Americas, SCUSA Pro Tour and California Pro Kart Challenge, Rock Sonoma, and the KPX Karting Championship in NorCal. From Rock to Miami to Briggs, rely on Greg Bell and Leading Edge Motorsports to give you everything you need to step into the winner's circle. Check out leadingedgemotorsports.com to learn more. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We ship daily to ensure that you get your order as quickly as possible, and we are constantly adding new products to our online store. We specialize in IAME engines, Tillett seats, ceramic product line, OTK products, Briggs & Stratton engines, and of course, our championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fit your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 64 of the EKN Debrief. It's Tuesday, February the 25th. David Cole and I are probably, it's not. It's now Thursday, February the 27th. I got to get that right.
You got to fix that.
I got to fix that. I'll do that right now. A little scratchy scratch. Let me just do that right now. Hold on. 27th. Get this right, Rob.
Well, you weren't feeling good the other day, so
I was out of it. Yeah, I was out of it.
We just, it gets a little bit busier now that we're traveling to different races and different areas. It's not something we can always do the next day when we get home.
That's true, because sometimes you're just out of gas, and I was out of gas. All right, let's jump into the race report here, guys. This is going to be presented today by The Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. If the dream is IndyCar, set your target on The Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. This unparalleled ladder system is designed to take drivers through 3 rungs of competition, beginning with USF 2000 and progressing through Indy Pro 2000 into Indy Lights. Along the way, each series champion receives a scholarship to race at the next level. If you want to race IndyCar, there is only one choice. The Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. All right, David, let's get started. First and foremost, let's jump right in with the Shifter Senior Rock category. One of the cool highlights this year has been this arrival of Cole Shade. Of course, he kind of running P2 under the tent, to Hunter Pickett, who was kind of the badass at Tucson, dominated things. But David Cole out to a really, really strong start, qualified on the pole on Saturday. Race Liberante ended up winning the pre-final, but Cole Shade, I think we're going to be talking a lot about him this year.
Well, first of all, he's got a great name. I love that. Do you? Love that first name. Ironically, that's my wife's favorite first name. She couldn't exactly call our son Cole. Would have been a little weird on that. Yes, emerging star, as you said, working with Gary Carlton, obviously one of the top shifter kart drivers we've ever had here in the United States on the GFC brand. Thankfully, there's numbers under the tent, and when you get guys working together as well as what they're doing, with Hunter Pickett leading the way in Tucson, them doing a lot of testing. They tested at Cal Speed, so they came into the weekend ready to go. And again, the GFC was still one of the quickest karts on the racetrack. And again, Shade taking advantage of that teamwork and dynamic to come out of the gates as the quickest driver in qualifying on Saturday.
As I said, Race Liberante won the pre-final, and in the main event on Saturday, he led the first half. He was full defensive, let's put it that way. He was kind of stacking everybody up behind him. As you would expect, the kart was not set up to be fast during the first half. And
which was, again, Saturday or Sunday morning, because...
True enough. He was pushed over because it was supposedly be the last race of the day on Saturday. We got pushed, so it was Sunday morning. But race looked good, David. He was running the defensive line. He told me that he was just waiting for the kart to come in. And then an issue sucks up, I think, a piece of plastic into the carb, into the needle and seat, and he was out halfway through. It was tough to watch him, man, because it was lap 10. The cart was just getting ready, and when he pulled off coming out of 1, you could see how dejected he was, because he was leading. It was just starting to get rolling. I think he figured he had the win. At that point, he goes off, and Jake French takes the lead from there.
And the track was a bit damp. It still wasn't wet on wet tires, because the race before that, Senior 100cc, went from wet tires being quick to dry tires being quick, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. But when you went to make a pass, it was still wet in that area. So watching these guys going to turn 1, they were getting alongside of them, but they would slide right past the apex of the corner, and race would just dive back under and reclaim the lead on the exit of the first turn. And then so everywhere else was still kind of gingerly if you got offline. So if you tried to make a pass attempt, it got a little bit crazy and a little bit chaotic, even up on top of the hill where our booth was. So it was a really, again, as you said, he was kind of waiting for the track to come in, waiting for the cart to come in, and unfortunately had the carb issues that took him out of the race.
So Jake French takes over the lead in the Burrell Art machine, and from there, David kind of just pulled away for the win. He was able to run that race line and pull away. Hunter Pickett had a DNF in the pre-final. He ends up driving up to 7th in the very back of the pack with the fast lap of the race. Cole Bailey actually was a driver who moved his way into second spot. Another couple of podiums for the GFC brand, Gary Carlton's crew. Cole Bailey in second behind Jake French. Brendan Rusbarski, tremendous run for Brendan in those tough conditions. He ends up P4. Another top 5, David, for William Ferguson, last year's junior champion on the challenge. And then Cole Shade, as we said, rounding out the top 5. You're right, though. They were just really tricky conditions for the guys in the shifter car classes.
Yeah, early on it was really tricky, but a good first podium for Rubarski, getting that first challenge podium. Again, another driver under the GFC driver development program. Again, he's bringing these guys from the Rock Sonoma program and taking them to the challenge and finding success really quickly.
Yeah, there was a lot of GFCs in the top 10. At one point in that race, I want to say it was like second back to 7th.
Yeah, it was seventh. Like seven. Yeah. I think there were like 7 GFCs in the top 10.
In the top 10. Yeah, with French out front and holding that spot. But right behind him, he was getting chased big time. You've already mentioned Sunday a little bit, David, and about the fact that because we had the issues with the ambulance getting pushed back, the shifter guys ran a 10-lap race at the end of the day in the darkness. Really, the day belonged to Jake French. He qualified on the pole. He won the pre-final. But I think the big thing, David, about that final race, that 10-lapper in the dark, is that with such little light, drivers are obviously going to struggle with their visual cues, your turn-in points, whatever it may be. But then you look at Race Monitor and realize what Jake French did there. And I don't know if I think it's a 52, but I think he turned like 8 consecutive 52 fours to finish off that race. He pulled away, ended up getting the win over Hunter Pickett and Cole Shade. But to do what he did, to lay down those consecutive laps, 52-4 after 52-4 in those conditions, to me, machine-like. It was impressive.
A machine, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Yeah, 52.4 was the lap time. So you go 52.4 flat on lap 3, and then a 4.97, a 4.09, a 4.68, a 4.67, a 4.56, a 4.44, and a 4.31 to wrap up the 10-lapper again, as you said. And the crazy part about it was when he got off the track, a couple people asked him, how are you able to drive that? And he said he was going off the bumps, just remembering where all the bumps were on his turn-in points and exit points. Again, thankfully, the corners had some white paint on them, so you're able to see the apex areas. And unfortunately, some of the barriers are black, so you can't. It's very, very tough. So you're giving yourself a couple inches here and there, but still, just again, he's got a lot of laps in there from 2019, from the 2019 season, being over there many, many times throughout the season. So he definitely a little bit of home track advantage for him because he knows that track so well, racing in the dark there. But when you get those consistent lap times and you're fast, that's what you do to be successful.
Yeah, Cole Bailey ended up in 4th spot, Warrawong Kamarakul in 5th. So there was actually 4 GFCs in the top 5 there. French, the winner on the Burrell Art, then Pickett on the GFC, Shade on the GFC, Bailey on the GFC, and Kamarakul on the GFC as well. Unbelievable. And again, just to put a little emphasis or a little exclamation point to cap it off, Cole Shade actually with the fast lap of the race in the dark there too. So again, he's been really impressive out of the gate for me. I think we're going to be talking a lot about Cole Shade throughout the 2020 season.
Actually, there was 5 in the top 10 that finished because Rubarski was 7th. So there you go, 5 GFCs in the top 10. Remo Rossetti was in 10th, so a tile cart there. Tony Cart in 9th with Griffin, Liberante in the comp cart in 8th, and Enzo Prevost 6th in the Formula K. So again, still a diverse field. You got 5 different brands, but one brand earning 5 of those spots.
Yeah, big time. All right, let's move to the Shifter Masters Rock category. Good field, as we said, in the Masters Rock class, 22 in total. And David, it felt like the weekend kind of starting just as we left off, right, from Tucson, where Kevin Woods on the Ron White Racing CRG dominated the opening day. He was able to do everything in Tucson, scoring the win, dominated, round number 1, comes out of the gate on Saturday, qualifies on the pole, wins the pre-final. But then the rain came in the main event, and that's what made it really interesting. Midway through, Kevin is leading the way. I think he was leading the way at that point. And the rain started coming. And it didn't pour, but it was steady enough that, they're out there on slicks, and we're not stopping because at the very start of the day, Taylor Jocelyn, the race director, declared it a wet race. So it becomes driver's choice. And if you go slicks, we're not, Andy Saisman said, we're not throwing a red flag if it goes slicks. You figure out a way to handle it. Well, David, the rain started coming. We saw drivers spinning all over the place, right? Because it caught them off guard. It happened so fast, it caught everybody off guard. Well, once people realized it was wet, and I think the rain actually stopped potentially by the end of the race. But then we got to see who was able to handle it, which I thought was really, really interesting.
Yeah, it was a lap 11 when it really started to come down, and as you said, Woods was really in a comfortable position to score his second victory of the season so far. But again, the tough conditions, rain coming down, everybody on slicks. Woods just continued to slip back, and then Neil Joseph was the driver who just loves it when it rains at Cal Speed. Last year, winning in the actual wet. Winning last year at the Challenging Americas, and then again this year, just charging his way. So he was sitting in the I'm trying to find it, the 4th spot. So he's kind of there, kind of on the outside of the podium, looking in. And the rains came. He was probably doing a rain dance for a little bit in the seat, and it opened up, and with 2 laps to go, was able to take the lead from Nick Firestone, who also was doing very well. With the slick tires and the wet conditions with that upper body weight transferring over left and right. It was really cool to see Joseph charge up through the field to take the win.
If I'm not mistaken, too, it was Jason Campbell, I think, went to the lead.
Oh, yeah,
early.
Sorry, wrong GFC, yes.
Yeah, he was running second. I think he ended up going to the lead early when the rain came. He was able to get by Woods, so Campbell kind of took the lead, and then Joseph kind of reeled him in and then passed Campbell, and then Firestone, I want to say on the second last lap or last lap, was able to get by Campbell to take second position. So just a really good run for those guys. Neil Joseph with the win on the CRG. Nick Firestone and Jason Campbell on the GFCs were in second and third. Ryan Yap coming back again, ended up finishing P4. So you go to Ryan Yap from the Old Stars of Karting days in the 2000s. Then you go to P5, Tommy Contino from the Scusa Promoto Tour days of 99, 2000, 2001. Contino coming back running with the VM. He was P5 on Saturday. It was wild for sure. I like when stuff like that happens because I think that transition, dude, it's like trying to drive a shifter in slicks in the wet. It's all about the right foot when it comes to that deal.
Oh, without a doubt. It's the ease of the throttle, getting the power down from the tires to the ground if you can even get any grip, and then keeping the steering wheel steady. You're not that quick. Really, the only time you want to jerk is if you're looking for grip.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So let's go to Sunday, David, and out of the gate, Jason Campbell dropping the hammer, qualifies on the pole, wins the pre-final as well. Main event a little bit different because Ryan Yap was the guy that they dialed that thing in, and he was on the move.
Yeah, Yop actually was coming up on the in the pre-final, putting in the fast lap of the race in the pre-final. So just kind of ran out of laps to in order to reel in Campbell. But when they started the main event, Yop certainly had the pace right away. Was able to work by Yop there. Oh, sorry, wrong class. Was able to work by Yop really quick, taking over the lead, and then just maintained that advantage over Campbell throughout the race.
Yeah, a solid fight for third in the back, though. Joseph had an issue in the pre-final DNF'd. He drove all the way up to ninth with a fast lap of the race, but the fight for third was pretty good. Tommy Contino, Calvin Chen, Adrian Young, all in that battle as well. Contino doing an awesome job. His debut in the Challenge of the Americas for Tommy. As I said, Ron Eubanks had hurt his ribs on Friday night, so instead of racing alongside Tommy, he actually wrenched for him through the entire weekend, and it was cool. I mentioned on the podium, I think it had been probably very likely around 20 years, or 19 or 20 years since I'd actually called Tommy Contino up to the podium in a race. So I love seeing guys come back to run in the Shifter Masters class, and hopefully we can get some more guys to do it in the future.
Now is he, because I don't know him, I mean, that 20 years, that's a long time. Is that put him in the Supermaster category, or is he still kind of, is he under 45?
No, I think he's under 40. Oh, yeah, I think he's probably I would bet he's only 37 years old. 38
okay.
years. I don't even think he's 40, right? Because he was probably 17 or 18 running in the S2 category in like 99, 2000, running in the Pro Moto Tour. Add 20 on. So, yeah, I wouldn't think that Tommy's even 40 years old yet. Probably 38, 37, 38, or 39, something like that.
Okay. Well, just again, we're talking Shifter Master, so it's a good idea to get kind of an idea of, because not a lot of people know who Tommy is, just, the age level, because a lot of people are still, talking about, what's the age difference here at the front of the field, because Joseph's not a young pup. Kevin Woods is up there in age. So again, it's for some reason here in the rock program, the master category, the younger drivers aren't always the quickest drivers.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of guys 30 to 35, right? More guys I think are 40 and up in the particular category. And that's, hey, the bottom line is it's master shifter racing. Guys are out there banging gears. That's what it's all about, and people are having a good time. And big wins, of course, for Neil Joseph and Ryan Yop. And I think the one other thing, David, that makes it 4 different winners on the season, right?
Correct, 4 different winners on the season. Let's see, we got, sorry, lost my place.
Kevin Woods won the first race. Jimmy McNeil won the second race, right?
Yep. I was looking at chassis. So it's 2 CRG wins, a Tony Kart, Luminos, and a
Luminos. So just throw it out there. Are we going to go 6 for 6? Maybe Neil, Neil.
You're going to get
Firestone, Jason Campbell.
Yeah, Firestone's good at Sonoma. You're probably going to see a Patrick O'Neill probably show up with Ron White Racing. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys in there that could win that haven't yet. But don't count out Yop for going for another, especially at Sonoma. He's very good there at Sonoma. So yeah, I mean, and Campbell, he's on the verge there to get that first challenge victory.
Well, I'll tell you, this championship definitely wide open. No one with a clear-cut advantage going to Sonoma. I'm excited. Can't wait to get up to Sonoma in March for the finale. It's going to be a tremendous weekend. All right, we're going to cut to another quick break, folks. When we come back, David and I will talk about Senior Rock, Master Rock, and Junior Rock. Stay with us. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. Technology, design, and manufacturing. These components are what make Kart Republic a world champion. The Kart Republic chassis has earned 2 FIA World Karting Championships. Here in the U.S., the brand has earned multiple victories and championships in senior, junior, and cadet competition. Kart Sport North America is the country's importer and distributor for Dino Chiesa's Kart Republic chassis, and as a leader in American karting, they are focused on providing stability for the sport and quality products and service for the community. Whether you'd like to find the Kart Republic dealer closer to you or schedule an arrive and drive package with its official North American race team, contact Kart Sport North America through their official website, kartsportna.com. We are Republic. We are one. The final round of the fastest growing Rock Cup program in the U.S., the Challenge of the Americas, is coming, and you're not going to want to miss it. It's the program's 13th season and year 3 of their rock focus, and the numbers are steadily growing. And the season finale in Sonoma Wine Country on March 27, 28, 29 is shaping up to set a new attendance record. Don't miss it. The FOMO will be real. Our classes include Micro, Mini, Junior, Senior, and Masters Rock, our multi-manufacturer 100cc Junior, Senior, and Masters program, and our well-supported Rock Shifter and Rock Shifter Masters categories. We're by far the largest shifter program in the West, with 56 unique competitors and an average of 32 shifter drivers in just 2 categories last winter. There are over 40 Rock Shifters in Cal Speed, and more are expected for Sonoma in March. Prizes include tickets to the massive Rock Super Final and the Rock the Rio event in Las Vegas. The Challenge of the Americas season finale is set for March 27 to 29, so head to the series website at challengekarting.com and get registered so you can join us in Sonoma. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief, episode number 64, Thursday, February the 27th.
Hey, you got it right
this time. I got it right. Rock Cup USA Challenge of the Americas, rounds 3 and 4 from Cal Speed Karting. This week's show brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing, but the Race Report presented by the Road to Indy. David, cool. We talked about it at the start of the broadcast. Senior Rock moving from 8 drivers up to 14 for this particular weekend, but not surprising, some of the same names we expected up front, right? The Jake Drews, the Oliver Calvos. We had the addition of the Ports brothers this weekend. They really jumped into the fight as well. Jake Drew coming out of the gate, though, on Saturday on the comp kart, qualifies on pole. Edward Ports wins the pre-final on the Cosmic. But then let's talk about the main event, because the rain came for the Master Shifter drivers on Saturday for their main event, right? They were the second in the order. Third is Senior Rock. So the rain comes. These guys are out there banging around on the wets. Track's super slippery. All the guys at Senior Rock sitting on the grid are watching it. And everybody puts the reins on, except for one driver. One driver waits and says, you know what? I don't think so. I think slicks are the way to go. I think this track is going to dry up. What a great storyline that was for the first main event for Senior Rock.
Well, as you said, it was a brief shower. Nothing too heavy, but heavy enough to affect the racetrack for the shifter drivers out on the race course. And again, the sun came out. That was the weird thing. It came out for, I want to say, 5 to 10 minutes as soon as that checkered flag came out. And for the Senior Rock race, as you said, everybody had swapped over to the rain tires, ready to go, except for one driver, and that driver being Ariel Jimenez.
Yep. Yeah, she decided she was going to stay on the slicks with the DR kart, and got to give up to Ariel. Number one, she made the call, not the team. She wanted to do it. She's the one that was going to be driving. It was her call to make. But the other thing, we've seen this happen before, where the driver making that call rolls the dice, but they can't keep the kart on the track, right? Over those first 5 laps. Remember, it's a 20-lap main event. So we've seen guys do it, and they keep spinning out or driving off track, and they never get a chance to go forward, right? They never get a chance to actually use the advantage they did. Under those really tough conditions at the start, Ariel just chilled out, right? I think she probably sat there in 12th or something like that. And probably fell back to the tail of the grid and just let those tires come up to temperature, because it was cold. It was still pretty chilly that day. So as those tires started to come up to temperature, she could start feeling the grip level. Then she went to work. She ends up smoking the field by 45 seconds or something like that. But for me, the key, the underlying statement that we have to make about that win wasn't just the fact that she went for slick tires. Everybody else on the wets, was the simple fact that she handled those first 5, 6, 7 laps so expertly to be able to make sure that she wasn't going to give up any track time or any track position or wreck even, because she was on tougher tires.
Yeah, by lap 3, she was in the lead, but again, as you said, had to maintain course, stay out of the wet, stay where it was dry, and was able to do that. And as you said, just powered away, and also the guys could do on rain tires was just hold on and hold it to the finish. So Oliver Calvo actually first in class because not only for championship points, but first driver across the line on rain tires. So Calvo getting a good finish, which he needed because, again, he had that DNF first round in Tucson. So coming out with a second place is almost technically a win for him to be ahead of Jake Drew and everybody else that are in the championship chase.
Yeah, that's definitely the way you have to look at it. And it was interesting for us, David, to watch the fact as those wet tires rapidly degraded down to essentially slicks. The guys were turning fast lap times at the very end of the run. Calvo on the Praga ends up in second. As we said, Ariel Jimenez on the DR kart with the win. Drew on the comp kart second. The Xpree of Bijoy Garg in fourth. And Liam Lech, one of the junior drivers last year, rookie senior on the FA kart, rounding out the top five. Lech came into the weekend second in points. So not sure where he is right now. I'll pull that up in a second. But the bottom line, it was interesting for sure for that one. Sunday, though, David, no real issues on Sunday in terms of weather, at least, right?
In terms of weather, yeah, no real issues, but really a kind of a best performance of the year thus far for Jensen Altzman. Came out of the gate with fast time in qualifying. Has been to Cal Speed a number of times, racing at numerous events there from the Arizona area. So again, just a quick haul over from Arizona over to Fontana. But Altzman came out strong, set fast time in qualifying, essentially led the entire pre-final until Calvo was able to get by him at the very end, along with Jake Drew. So Altzman dropped down to third. But then they started the main event. Calvo and Drew push wide at the start. Calvo drops to 10th. Drew, I believe, down to about 7th. This allows Altzman to jump into the lead, and they actually established a pretty solid lead early on. But that gap got cut in lap by lap a little bit by Joey Brienza, who was into second, and then slowly reeled in Altzman up until the final laps.
Yeah, let's talk about that final lap a bit because it was a wild one for sure. To watch Calvo come up like he did, because Altzman and Brienza were working, but you didn't want to count out Calvo because he was 2 seconds back at one point, but he just kept coming, right?
Well, at one point, I believe he was, 5 seconds out of the lead at one point, and I was going to get into it. That's who we were watching next. Once Brienza got up there, it was watching Calvo because he kept turning the laps quicker and quicker and quicker than both the top two leaders and cut that 5-second lead into nothing there on that final circuit. So it was a really, really wild last lap between the three drivers, exchanging the lead a number of times, a little bit of contact as they went through the final two corners. But Calvo was able to emerge victorious and score what was an amazing victory on the day.
Yeah, I believe it was like a block move to the inside of turn 8. The hairpin, Calvo able to tuck to the inside, I think, coming through over to turn number 9 and 10. And then they got going at it again in 12 and through 13 and 14. And just a huge win for Calvo in the senior rock class to be able to get that job done. I thought it was massive.
Yeah, massive, not only for the victory, but for the points championship chase, because, again, he's got to overcome that DNF that he had in Tucson. So any points he gains, every round he needs to gain points over Jake Drew, and did just that with Drew finishing up 4th. It was actually Brienza crossing the line for, I believe, let me see that. So he crossed the line in the 3rd position, but cut the final corner, because, again, we're in a parking lot. Not everything is defined by grass or barriers, but that contact kind of upset him, so he cut the track. They penalized him for cutting the track. That dropped him down to the 6th position, moved Edward Ports up to 3rd, but gave Jake Drew up to 4th. So it helped Drew gain a little bit of points there in the championship. So that cut corner could be very key in the championship chase between Calvo and Drew, because every point matters, especially as we've seen in the senior category. Jonathan Ports then finishing in 5th.
Yeah, that was Altzman battling it out with Brienza, like you said, coming through after the pass, like the move in turn number 12 that came back to the right hand, 13 and 14 contact there. Altzman was able to continue, and as you said, Brienza, instead of coming back around turn 15, cut through there. Probably not the best call, but like you said, lucky for Drew, he gets another bunch of points. But interesting, if you look at the points right now, it's that 59 points from the Calvo DNF, the issue that he had in Tucson. That's his current drop. It's an 85-point current drop number for Jake Drew. Calvo's in a pretty good position right now. He's got a couple of 115s and a 99. He needs to have a couple more good finishes. Both drivers need to have good finishes in Sonoma, but the bottom line is that I think Calvo a little more in the driver's seat probably now. Would you agree?
Yeah, Calvo's in the driver's seat because, again, essentially he has 3 wins because that second place in round 3 gives him the most points out of the 2 championship contenders right now. But yeah, going into Sonoma again, both drivers need to come out of there both rounds scoring points and not getting a drop in order to establish themselves as a champion.
That is it. All right, let's move to the Masters Rock category, David. It's just so many good drivers. You just throw Derek Wang, Billy Cleveland, Nick DeGraff, Tim Meyer, Eric Jackson. These are guys that have represented their country, whether you're talking about rock racing, Rotax, IAME, whatever it's been. They've been part of their national teams in those major international events. Tim Meyer coming out of the gate, though, David, qualifies on the pole position to lead the way in the pre-final, but it was Derek Wang stepping up in the pre-final. In fact, he really kind of dominated the rest of the day.
Yeah, Wang put the stamp on everybody in the final, was able to jump out to a lead immediately, and then pulled away, scoring the victory there. Is second if you when you add in the race he won in Tucson. So 2 wins already for the defending champion in the Master Rock category. So it's a good start. Again, a good first half at least for Wang for the defense of the title. Pulled out to a 4.3 second advantage over 2017 Challenge of the America's champion Billy Cleveland. Mayer dropping back to 3rd, but still landed on the podium. Nick DeGraff 4th, and Adam Dowler placing 5th.
Yeah, Tim Meyer got the position out of the gate. He was running in second spot. Billy Cleveland kind of sat there with him for the entire time and just kind of chilled out a little bit there, and then was able to make the move halfway through. He goes into the second position for the second half of the race. Eric Jackson was having a pretty good run there for 4th position behind Meyer and Cleveland. So Jackson was P4, but with 5 laps to go, both Nick DeGraff and Adam Dowler able to slide by Eric Jackson. They end up taking that 4th and 5th place positions. Moving into Sunday, a new player, David, coming to the ranks. One of the cool things about the Masters category is that it also allows drivers to run if you're not of age but a little heavier. Talk about who kind of came to the forefront on Sunday. Completely dominated the action, really.
Yeah, domination day for Adam Dowler. Again, The master field was very close all weekend long. Derek Wang just had a little bit more than everybody did on Saturday, but on Sunday it was Adam Dowler who was able to pick up some speed overnight, coming out, setting fast time in qualifying, again, held on through the pre-final, and so with the pole position was able to grab the lead right away. And ran a consistent race. Had Derek Wang and Billy Cleveland right on his bumper all race long, but was never able to never put a wheel wrong, and neither Wang nor Cleveland were able to make an attempt at a pass. So really a kind of a static main event with the top 3 running 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you got to give it up for Dowler, right? He just did not make a mistake. You're talking being pressed, like you said, by the 2019 champion, the 2017 champion. He's got these veterans, these legends of Masters racing right behind him, putting pressure on the entire time. And he did not put a wheel wrong, as you said, didn't flinch even once. And he actually held enough of a gap so that Wang wasn't able to make any aggressive moves to go by. I think Derek was kind of biding his time early, but he ran out of time, and Dowler just kept getting better at the end. So good for him. Big win for sure.
Very big win. Certainly throws a little bit of a wrinkle in the championship chase. We'll get a little bit more into that when we talk about it in the outlap before that weekend. But still, going to make things very interesting come Sonoma. But as we said, Derek Wang 2nd, Billy Cleveland in 3rd. Nick DeGraff scoring the 4th position, so 2 4th-place finishes for him. And then Eric Jackson was able to climb up to 5th with Tim Meyer recording a DNF.
Yeah, it was a good run for Jackson. Got kind of mired in the mid-pack for a bit there, but was finally able to get through to get that 5th position. Points are going to be interesting, David. As you said, we'll talk more about it when we do the Outlap preview podcast before the event at the end of March. But bottom line is 3 drivers within 38 points. Derek the key is Derek Wang's coming in with the point lead this particular year going into Sonoma. And when last year he had to really step up big time, swept the weekend to take the championship. Right now, in a much better position heading into Sonoma this year.
Yeah, we'll see how that unfolds because again, you never know what's going to happen in Sonoma. It could rain all weekend. It could there could be other elements that change the dynamics of the race weekend.
Well, it's going to be head to head because Cleveland's dropping an 88 right now, and Wang's dropping an 89. So they're essentially 18 points apart going in. Whoever steps up to win is going to win the championship. That's the thing I love about the point program. It's fantastic.
Andy has no idea what he's doing.
That's true. Let's not give any props. Let's talk about Junior Rock. We'll cap off this particular section with the Junior Rock report. Max Opolsky, a young driver who kind of turned things up at the end of the 2019 season, not letting up at all, qualifies on pole, David, for Saturday, wins the pre-final as well. Doesn't come away with the victory, but Opolsky most definitely one of the highlight juniors here for 2020.
Yeah, something happened at the start of the main event that forced Opolsky to pull off after 3 laps. So, but it was a great start to the weekend. Just an issue that made him pull off in the main event. So it takes away a win, but that's why they have one round one day and one round the next day to be able to come back. But him dropping off allowed Frankie Mossman to take control. We saw Mossman earn his first Challenge in America's victory in Tucson, but Mossman was able to establish himself as the driver to beat in the main event, running fast laps of the race and pulling out to a 3.8 second advantage for the victory.
Yeah, he just laid it down for sure. Alex Berg ends up coming home in second spot. AJ Zarcone in third. Enzo Delaney in the fourth position. Enzo actually hit the track on Saturday morning because he was away on vacation, missed all of Friday, so his first laps on the weekend were actually Saturday morning's warm-up. Delaney ends up finishing in fourth spot, and Diego Larac rounding out the top 5. All 5 drivers on the OTK product. 4 of them on the Tony karts. Mossman, the winner, on the FA kart. Fast forward to Sunday, and Opolsky again, David, another pole position for him. Ends up winning the pre-final as well after Mossman getting hit with a pushback bumper penalty.
Yeah, that would certainly be key because the pushback bumper penalty took Mossman off the pole position for the main event and dropped him down into the field, and that would essentially end Mossman's chance because he started 4th, was in the mix, and got spun in the hairpin early on in the main event. So it took him out of contention right away. This allowed Opolsky to really pull away to a big victory. His first, I believe, in the challenge. I have to double check that, but I believe this was his first victory at the challenge. So again, he was unable to make Tucson due to a family death in the family. So to come back and start the 2020 season off with nearly 2 victories, but at least one to continue that momentum that he had at the end of 2019.
Yeah, definitely making a statement that he's going to be ready to battle for some from junior wins here this year. Opolsky gets the win. Tremendous run for Macy Williams as well. She put a lot of pressure on Max throughout the early half of that main event for the drivers for that Junior Rock category. Fell back a little bit, ended up finishing in the second position. Alex Berg, the Canadian, super strong in the 100cc junior stuff. We'll talk about that as well. But very fast, finds himself third in the points, leaving Calsby. He was P3 on Sunday. Enzo Delaney and Diego Larac, again, 4th and 5th to round out that weekend in the Junior Rock category. All in all, David, there's some really good talent in this class. I think we're going to see Junior Rock continue to grow on the challenge.
Yeah, the first weekend for Larac in the Junior Rock category. I believe he ran the 100cc category last year, here and there whenever he did run. So good kind of debut for Larac. Great rebound for Macy Williams. She kind of struggled in Tucson, and so it's good to see her back up on the podium. And your dark horse, Alex Berg, picking up another 2 podiums in the Junior Rock category. So solid for that. And Mossman was able to get up to P9 with fast laps of the race, so he did get those 5 points. So we'll see how that kind of shakes out. It took away points from the championship contenders for him. So a P9 still might be a drop for him moving into Sonoma.
Yeah, it is. It's where is he? Mossman? It's a 62-pointer. So it definitely his drop race so far. He'll have to have a big weekend in Sonoma if he wants to try to win this championship. All right, folks, stay with us again. Another quick little break. When we get back here on EKN Debrief episode number 64, we're going to hit the 100cc categories and then roll through mini and micro rock as well. We'll cap off the race report after this break. It's 2020, and it's time to rock. The Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour resumes on the March 5th to 9th weekend, and the final round of this year's series will be extra special. They have a brand new venue, Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, and they'll offer up another competitive temporary circuit for their drivers to fight it out for the championships. The race is just 1 week before the NTT IndyCar Series Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, so come down out of the cold to race the Florida Winter Tour and hang out in the Sunshine State for the IndyCar opener. It's spring break, rock style. We've also announced our Rockfest events for 2020. Rockfest East will take place at the newly paved kart track inside the Charlotte Motor Speedway in North Carolina on the July 30th to August the 2nd weekend. Rockfest West will bring our rockers together at the Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center in Sonoma, California on September 17th to 20th. Head to rockcupusa.com to register today. Let's rock! Feel like you're racing alongside the many legends that have called CRG home. With direct factory support, the CRG Nordam operation is the North American distributor for all CRG products related to karting and is based just outside Houston, Texas. The complete racing chassis line, including the famous Road Rebel shifter kart, is available through CRG Nordam. The growing FS4 Briggs & Stratton focused chassis is expanding worldwide, including right here in North America. Many tracks, indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the Centurion rental kart line through CRG. New for the 2020 season is the Mini Hero for cadet racing, homologated for FIA competitions around the world. Head over to kartcrg.com or find them on all social media networks. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode number 64 of the EKN Debrief, Thursday, February the 27th, our date of recording here. Rob Howden alongside David Cole. This episode brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing and our race report presented by the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. It's time to cap things off with 100cc Senior, 100cc Master, 100cc Junior, Mini Rock, and Micro Rock. The Senior 100cc category, David, 18 drivers in total. And another, you know what, Oliver Calvo's kind of grabbed a hold of this particular category, trying to win this championship. He qualifies on the pole position, but a big win in the pre-final for Eddie Schimmon as well in the GFC.
Yeah, good breakout win for Eddie Schimmon, his first at the challenge. It was only a pre-final, but still a solid performance for him. Again, one of the categories that was moved their main event from Saturday to early Sunday morning. So it kind of shook things up a little bit. But Schimmon had to lead the field to the green flag. Again, a mixture this time because, again, Mini and Micro started out on wet tires. These guys actually had 4 drivers on wet tires. The rest were on slick tires. So it was a very interesting main event.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if this is actually true, but I think it was all the drivers from Forward Direction Motorsports, Greg Welch and the crew. I thought it was a great call. Let's roll the dice and see what happens. Let's see if we get any more rain or how wet is it going to stay. They all went on the wet tires, and it looked good out of the gate, did it not? Jackson Dunn was able to pull out. He was kind of the guy that was leading the way. He pulled out to a really solid lead. And it's almost like there just wasn't enough standing water. And I didn't see Jackson going all over the place, like trying to find different lines to try to keep those tires cool. That may have been the issue. But to be honest, the track started to dry, David, and really the second half of that race belonged to slick tires. If you were on the reins, you were a sitting duck for sure. It ended up being a great battle for the race win. Oliver Calvo was in there, Micah Hendricks, Alex Saragusa, all in the hunt. Jackson Dunn, though, on those wets, because he had such a good lead, he had held on for at least 5th. I liked the call. It did end up being the right one, but I like that somebody did it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was. I think they came up maybe 7 laps short, because about maybe the halfway point is when we saw the tables turn and the slick tires started becoming the quicker choice for tires, because looking at the lap times for Calvo. Hold on just a second here. It was 17, 16, 13, 15, 14, 12, 10, 11, 18. Those were his almost fast 10 laps of the race. So, about lap 10 is when things started to change. As you said, Jackson Dunn established a really solid lead. Again, we thought, hey, maybe it's going to hold on. Maybe it's going to hold on.
He was way out there for sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it did not hold on enough for him. Yeah. And again, as you said, the track, once that track, it's very weird because it's a parking lot. And once that track starts drying, it dries. There's no beating around when there's no more rain coming down because it'll dry quick.
Agreed. Yeah, no doubt about that. In the end, Calvo ends up getting the victory and his third straight win of the year in the 100cc class. Micah Hendricks on the Aluminos comes home in second. Alex Saragusa had a good run. He was strong all weekend long, Saragusa, in the Formula Works comp cart. Eddie Shimon in fourth, and as I said, Jackson Dunn holding on for P5 on the wets. But the last lap was a pretty good battle for sure, David.
Yeah, those top four drivers, it was a pretty wild finish. Hendricks was able to come up because we thought it was going to be Calvo or Saragusa, or at one point we thought it was Shimon, and then Hendricks joined into the fight. So it was a really wild last lap.
Well, 100cc where it was kind of laid out in the schedule, second last class in the order. They really had their main events messed up, didn't they, David? They had to get pushed from Saturday to Sunday morning, and then with the late ambulance run that pushed us right up to the darkness essentially in Fontana, they ran a 10-lap pre-final after the sunset. I mean, a 10-lap final after the sunset. It had gone down at 5:40. I want to say it was 5:45, almost 5:50, I think, when we went green with these guys. Calvo qualified on the pole earlier in the day. Saragusa, as I said, was strong all weekend long. He ends up winning the pre-final. But David, in that last 10-lap sprint, Calvo able to jump out into the lead and hold the spot. Saragusa gets second. But wow, that was, again, it wasn't as bad as the shifter guys, but it was still like the sun had gone down already.
Yeah, no, they had plenty of light to see. There was no doubt about it. It wasn't like the conditions that the shifter drivers had to endure. But it was almost like a green-white checkered, it felt like, because it was a quick 10-lap shootout, jump out and get going. And again, the 100cc is a little bit different because it's all about momentum. And the longer the race goes, it seems the drivers get a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker. So it's a little bit different for these guys. But again, 10 laps, you go out and you do it. And Calvo jumped out to the lead early and was able to hold off Saragusa, scoring a fourth victory on the season for Calvo. So definitely he has the championship in hand heading into Sonoma.
Yeah, great run as well for Henry Fall's hand on the red speed. He ends up finishing in the third spot. A really, really good run for Henry. And then Colby Dubato, David, started at the back of the field, drove up to the top five. And really, to be honest, a solid run for Colby. He had a bad day on round 3, only 69 points, ends up with 76 points. He's second in points, backed by 128 markers. Calvo's going to essentially have to have 2 bad races, 2 DNFs essentially, at Sonoma to open the door for Dupato, but for him to be able to come back to the P5 or P4 rather, come back to 4th, you never know. That we could look back if something happens to Calvo, we could look back and say that Dupato kept himself in the championship by battling his way back up to P4.
Yeah, a 10-lap shootout, you go for it all, and Dupato did it. Had a lot of good passes in that race to keep climbing up positions, and got around Shimon there towards the end of the race. So good performance for him. And again, as you said, Henry Fall's hand, another. I believe he didn't even race on Saturday.
No, I don't think he did.
And replaced another driver on Sunday. So to come in and do a one-off, and land on the podium was pretty solid for him.
All right, let's move to Masters 100cc. And how do we approach this? Do we say his name, or we almost have to now? Don't you think?
The unknown amateur.
The unknown amateur, Racer XXL.
XXL, yeah. The race.
We're gonna have to do it. We played it pretty good throughout the weekend. I know. Adam Kasich.
We'll talk about him. Rather. Yeah,
let's talk about Adam Kasich. He qualifies on pole on Saturday, but to be honest, from then on, it was all Mike Smith. I'll say it.
That's hard to say. I'm not saying it. It makes me cringe when you say that.
Poor Mike. So Mike Smith, the track manager at Cal Speed Karting, obviously one of the top Masters drivers in the country, has won a bunch of different races, was able to put together a program to come out and run this particular weekend at his home track. To be honest, David, he just he knows the track. He knows what the track needs. They had that Cosmic dialed in so well for him. Once he got out front, he actually I don't think he got the lead at the start of either main event. I think he fell back to second both races, if I'm not mistaken, but was able to get back up front. Mike did a tremendous job, and again, he knows this racetrack. Senchi took over in the pre-final, never looked back. He wins the main event on Saturday. Kasich ends up in second. Nick DeGraff in third on the ITAL card. He was going back and forth between the ITAL card and the VME on the weekend for DeGraff. Jonathan Silva had a good run, P4 on Saturday, and Tim Meyer rounding out the top five. But you don't have to say his name. I'll say his name, but Mike Smith did a tremendous job and was rewarded with a couple of wins on the weekend. Yeah,
went wire to wire in the main event on Saturday, but on Sunday it was Tim Meyer jumping out to the lead early. But the guy who won was able to take the
shall not be named.
Yes, the guy who shall not be named came back and took the spot and really had a solid performance. Now, if this category would have been running at night, I would have put my money on him because he knows every single bump of this racetrack.
That's true.
Would you not agree with that? So
yeah. Well,
I will give him a prop on that. He knows a lot of the bumps. He knows where all the barriers are placed because he does it. So it's very easy for him to race there at night.
Well, he flat dominated on Sunday as well. Mike Smith qualifying on the pole, winning the pre-final, and then essentially he was challenged early in the main event. Kasich was there in the main event, but in the end, he just kind of settled back into the groove, pulled out that gap, and ran it all the way to his second win. It actually moves Mike up to sixth in points as well. He gets the victory. Kasich in second. DeGraff in third. He's now the point leader by 29 markers over Tim Meyer. Meyer ended up finishing fifth. Silva, another top five, P4 on both days for Jonathan Silva on the comp cart for Formula Works. So, all in all, Masters 100cc's turned into a badass class here now after having just one driver last year. I'd love to see 20 next year.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the results shape up the same as they did from Saturday to Sunday. But again, it was a tough competition and a lot of different scenarios that could have happened, and unfortunately that one driver just was able to win both.
The Masters drivers ran with the 100cc junior drivers as the opening class in the rotation, and once again, just like Tucson, the weekend was all about Alex Berg. The Ryan Perry Motorsports driver in the Tony Kart qualifies on pole, wins the pre-final, won the main event on both days, and the lineup actually was the same for both days as well, David. Jacob Hoover ends up in second, Haley Schroeder in third, Cole Schroeder in fourth. It was the same way for both days. Hoover was battled, though. Hoover had to fight against both the Schroeders both of the days as well. He wasn't running second the entire time. I think Haley had it for a while, and then Jacob was eventually able to get second both races. But the bottom line is Alex Berg really just has this thing handled. He is, as his dad told me at Tucson, as Alan said, he goes, I don't know what happened, but a switch has been flicked because Alex really on his game now.
Yeah, 12 straight sessions being P1 without relinquishing the position. I don't think I think maybe even on outlaps on qualifying, like he's P1 as well, too, in the category. We'll have to check those numbers. But, so he's P1 in all 12 sessions of the season thus far. Now he'll carry that momentum into Sonoma, where maybe we'll see a Sonoma leap in entries in this category, because the VLR 100cc engine is very popular in this category. And again, being a regional program up there in Sonoma, hopefully we'll see this category grow in numbers for that weekend.
Well, let's put it out there, David. Let's challenge one of the Rock Sonoma drivers to come out and to try to beat Alex Berg. Right? Let's do this.
Well, we can't put a real bounty on him. He's a kid, right?
Yeah, I'm not putting a bounty on his head. But I'll put a challenge out there. Let's see. Rock Sonoma. Let's see who can come up, and let's see if one of the Rock Sonoma locals, one of the junior drivers, can see if they can't challenge Alex Berg.
There you go.
Let's do that. It's a challenge. Moving into the mini rock class, mini and micro rock running together. As we said, mini a great jump for Cal Speed from 4 at Tucson to double digits with 10 drivers in Cal Speed. We added one extra driver in the micro category as well. Tristan Young, though, out of the gate, David, with the qualifying session, got the pole on Saturday. Alex Rantala on the CRG. He was kind of, I think, the guy that really stepped up his game from Tucson to Cal Speed. He was super quick. Rantala ended up winning the pre-final.
Yeah, it's kind of been there hasn't been really one driver that stood out in this category over the 4 rounds that we have had. So again, round 3, 2 different drivers at the top of the order after qualifying in the pre-final. And again, the main event was actually red flagged after 2 laps into the race. So for a incident involving Toby Lien in the micro division. So this race had to be moved over to Sunday morning. And again, these guys were on wet tires. So the track was wet, all on wet tires. So it was, who's going to step up now on conditions that they've only done in warm up that morning for, and ended up being Christian Cameron. So Cameron was able to battle the wet weather conditions and score the victory, his second on the season. I believe. No, yep, second's great. So back to back for him.
Yeah.
One in Tucson in the dry, and now one in the wet at Cal Speed.
Tristan Young ended up finishing second. Rantala, who won the pre-final, started on the pole, fell back into the 3rd spot. Tough conditions, as David said, because it was wet in the morning. They were the first class to go out. Parker DeLong ended up finishing in the 4th spot, and Wyatt Vidovich rounding out the top 5. Moving to Sunday, again, kicking things off, Rantala, as I said, he just had some good pace this weekend. Rantala ended up qualifying on pole again. But from there, once we started racing, David, it was Parker DeLong who kind of moved his way to the forefront.
Yeah, it was a thrown chain that essentially might have taken away a round sweep for DeLong, because DeLong ended up coming up the hill towards our announcer's booth, chucking a chain going over the curb that's on the exit of the corner there. And so I only had, I think, 1 lap in when the chain came off, so had to start from the tail of the field. Was able to work his way quickly up through the field in the pre-final and to earn that race win, and then in the final just essentially drove away from the entire field to score his first victory of the season.
Yeah, and I think the first podium as well for Wyatt Vidovich. He finished second on Sunday. Young ended up finishing in 3rd, Cameron 4th, and Rantala 5th. It's still pretty tight on top of the points. 3 different winners on the season. Tristan Young and Christian Cameron separated by just 23 markers heading into Sonoma. Micro was really battled back and forth between kind of Nico Sarfati and Cypress Andrus. Sarfati on the GFC, David, qualifies on pole on Saturday. Pre-final goes to Cypress Andrus in the Formula K machine. He wins the pre-final, but the main event, of course, in that wet race on Sunday morning, Sarfati, actually, I thought he was pretty impressive in the wet.
Yeah, Sarfati was very impressive in the wet, and in the dry, was able to really kind of race with the mini drivers in both scenarios, both track conditions. So yeah, it's stepping up under the GFC driver development program, really doing a lot of testing. Always at the racetrack, we're always getting those Instagram images from him at the racetrack with Gary and getting in that time. But Cypress was strong as well too throughout the weekend. So I think we have a good crop of micro drivers here at the challenge.
Well, you hear us talk about the fact that they're actually running with the mini guys essentially for this particular year because of the low numbers of the micros. Andy Saisman decided, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have, so they're on exactly the same engine package right now. They don't have the restrictor on the micro. So essentially the mini and the micro are separated by their age for these particular categories, which still works, but allows them to be able to race each other, which I think has been a great experience for the micro drivers, not just having to run against each other. On Saturday, though, it was all Sarfati. He qualifies on the pole position, wins the pre-final, and then was battled, like you said, Dave, was right in there battling with the mini drivers. Actually, I think he led at one point, but he was in the fight at the very start, the whole deal with Sarfati coming home with the win. Talk a little bit, I'm trying to remember exactly how it all shook down in the final lap.
On Saturday or Sunday? You've lost me.
Sunday. We already took care of Saturday.
I heard you say Saturday. That's why I was confused there.
Right,
on Sunday. Yeah, he was racing for essentially a top 5 overall position, and I believe it was Christian Cameron that he was racing with, and the two had a little contact, and Serafati got into the marbles going back down towards the start finish line. So really had to back out of it. Lost a lot of ground and allowed Cyprus Andrus to work by him for the lead in the micro division, and then a last lap battle between Cyprus and Nico and Drysdale was right there as well too. So all three of them battling up on the last lap. Nico was able to grab the lead before the last couple of corners, and then contact between Drysdale and Cyprus sent Andrus around. So Drysdale was able to come across the line in second, putting Cyprus back to the third position.
And I remember Sarfati still running the top 5. I think they were battling in front of him. Somebody made a move to the inside, right? In turn number 12. They got kind of side by side, and Nico did the full over-under and they were 3 wide, essentially coming out to 13 and 14, the off-camber right-handers there. And he was going to try to go 3 wide on the outside, right through because there's just so many marbles there, right? Dave, from the tires spitting the rubber out. He got out in the marbles and he was done.
Yeah, that's exactly what allowed Cyprus back into the fold for the micro overall lead.
Indeed. All right, one quick break, folks. We'll come back and wrap up this edition of the EKN Debrief. Stay with us, more to come. At Solo Kart USA, designing and manufacturing the most driver-friendly karts has been our goal from the very beginning. Design, build, test, and then race. Over and over and over until it's perfect. The result is a kart that gives you complete confidence, knowing that the equipment can get the job done and you can focus on what separates every field in karting: driver talent. How do you know how to tune your team's chassis if you're not driving it yourself? At Solo Kart USA, we drive our own karts and we race regularly. Solo Kart is our program and we race what we sell. Every lap we turn, at tracks all over the country, provides information and feedback that we use in further developing our chassis. After 4 years of dedicated testing and competition, our Solo Kart USA program is exactly where we want it. It's ready for you. Louis Westover put our Solo Kart SK2 on the X30 Senior Podium at the opening round of the SuperKarts USA Winter Series in January, topping 50 other drivers. And our own Adam Pettit followed suit with a second-place finish in X30 Master. Check out www.solokartusa.com to learn more and break away from the pack. If you're searching for a program to elevate you up the motorsports ladder, Crosslink Competition is your next step. Crosslink Competition provides arrive and drive programs that include driver coaching, data analysis, and engine rental programs for all major events in the 2020 season. Team Crosslink is scheduled to compete at the SCUSA Pro Tour, Rock Cup USA, and the United States Pro Kart Series events, as well as regional and local programs from their home base in Texas. Crosslink Competition is a full retail shop for the Xpree and OTK parts line. Many new and used packages are available right now through their Dallas headquarters. Drivers interested in making the jump from karting to cars, Crosslink provides a streamlined opportunity for you. Team Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports was the 2019 F4 United States Championship title winner, providing the perfect transition within the same operation. Drivers looking to compete with an elite-level karting program or to pick up gently used team equipment are asked to call 214-432-4413. Be sure to follow all the team's social media platforms at Team Crosslink. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief, episode number 64, as David Cole and I doing a deep dive into the Rock Cup USA Challenging Americas rounds 3 and 4 this last weekend at Cal Speed Karting. This edition brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing. David, let's wrap this thing up. Despite the threat of rain, we really only got a little bit of rain. If we look at wrapping things up, you and I think, like I said before, everybody was bracing for a full day of oh my God, I hate driving in the rain at Cal Speed. And he just never came.
Yeah, it was a strange Saturday looking at the radar all day because rain was on the radar surrounding us. We knew it was coming. Everybody kept saying, well, it's raining over there. Hey, it's raining over here at my house, right. and this and that. And the rain never really came except for that one time in the shifter masterclass. And it was a brief little shower, and then we had sun. And it was just a strange scenario surrounding the rain. Actually, I think it did rain Friday. Did it rain Friday while we were doing the Smash Burger as well, too?
I think you did. You're right. Yeah, you did a little. It rained a little bit on Friday night. That's right. Yeah,
again, going in, thinking we had a full day of rain coming at one point, and it never really came and really hit us only really Friday night and Saturday night was a good scenario for us.
It made things exciting. Bottom line, the master shifter guys having to be out there on full slicks, trying to navigate it. It's set up for Ariel Jimenez winning on the slicks, the only driver to go to the slicks in a drying track. On Sunday with the rain that we had over the evening, of course, then we had the transition from the wet morning session to Oliver Calvo being one of the guys that was able to come forward when a handful of guys went rains, but it didn't work. Oh, no, it made for a pretty cool storyline in a couple of the races.
Yeah, I don't think it was too hard on the mechanics for changeover. I mean, that's the one good thing. It wasn't on, off. It was only a few instances where we had a question, but it provided great drama. It provided great racing. It gave you something to talk about, certainly. Gave people a reason to come up and leave their paddock area to come up to the fence and watch the race because, again, drama is what we come to watch and want to see in racing. We don't want to see, guys following the leader and not doing anything. So it provided a unique aspect to the event.
One of the things that, maybe the facility itself or the series needs to review, Dave, but the ambulance procedure for the particular weekend. We had 3 ambulance runs that really kind of wreaked havoc with the weekend schedule.
Yeah, it was really one of the 2 down points of the weekend that we saw. Again, record-breaking numbers. So we had positives going in, and then we had 3 ambulance runs. Yeah. I believe the first 2 were I'm trying to find the word to say. I guess warranted. Yes. Warranted is a good word to say, because obviously the first one, I believe it required surgery for a torn ligament. So they weren't quite sure exactly what happened.
Alex McPherson-Wyman. Yeah. He had to have a hand surgery.
So when there's uncertainty, I can understand that. Again, in the second incident, it looked like it was a severe hit. And again, for a young driver, probably under the age of 10, you want to take all precautions. But the third event or the third incident, it happened towards the end of a race. The driver was standing up. Nothing was severely injured. Nothing was life threatening. And again, I think that's one of the key elements is it life threatening or not? And, as a father, I kind of understand, okay, maybe we need to be medically checked out. Well, when you're putting the whole entire event in your hands and you decide to ignore it and to take I don't want to say joyride, but essentially that's kind of what the ambulance ride was, because the injuries weren't life threatening. The driver was able to walk over and get onto the stretcher. So, I mean, it's kind of frustrating in that end, but also it's not so much the fault of those drivers. It's kind of the fault of this facility itself. And the ridiculous rules and structure that they have for ambulance procedures.
Yeah, and we'd said before, it's to have that second ambulance is a lot of money, man. And and remember, the series is a business still, and you can't be throwing the money away. And if you're going to add another $4,500 onto the budget, it's going on to the entry fee.
But I'm not even talking about a second ambulance. Is how is it that every racetrack that we go to across the country, one ambulance can leave, and you replace it with another?
True.
I mean, all it is an exchange of paperwork or exchange of, okay, I'm clocking out here. I'm leaving this place, or, even through the same company. Most of these companies have ambulances all in the same area. Every racetrack we go to, we never have this instance. And It's not a California rule, because we've seen situations at other racetracks in California where one ambulance comes in, and one ambulance leaves, another one comes in. There's maybe a 15-minute downtime in case the ambulance isn't close or nearby, or something else is going on to delay that exchange. But just the procedure that the facility has, and what the racetrack and what anybody who goes there has to deal with, it's kind of ridiculous, and seriously needs to be looked at, because should I pay track rental for the time I'm not using because you cannot provide an ambulance? I mean, that's one way of looking at it too.
Hey, the bottom line is this, David. There's got to be a better solution, right?
There's got to be.
It's got to be. It's got to be a better solution. One of the other things I know, when you mentioned a couple things that weren't good, and I was on the PA many times telling people that you are not allowed to leave your tires or your fuel cans at the facility. And everybody knows this. You can't do this. And then, of course, Andy Saisman sends us a picture of one particular pit with tires and fuel cans stacked up beside the garbage can. There's probably more than just that one, but again, we posted it to our social media because it's got to be a community thing. First and foremost, a lot of people came back with comments like, well, the promoter or the organizer should figure out a way for us to take care of our tires in the end. You know what? Yeah, that's something they could definitely look at. But the current situation is you buy your tires, you take care of them, they're your responsibility. Yes, you can provide input of what we could do in the future, but in this particular situation, you were supposed to leave your stuff. You take your stuff with you. You weren't allowed to leave it. And somebody did. Going forward, though, David, maybe there's an opportunity for tracks, promoters, manufacturers, whatever, review the other ways of disposing the product they've sold to the racers. Figure out a way to do it. If that means adding another $5 on a tire because you have a recycling deal or whatever it may be at trackside, maybe that's something to look forward to moving forward.
Well, in typical social media aspect, everybody blames somebody else. When in all honesty, it falls on who is responsible for it at that particular time. At that particular time, it's the racers and the race teams are responsible for the product being left behind. Excuse me. So why, not everything has to fall back on the promoter. Why is the promoter not having a second ambulance? Well, it's because of the facility. So it's not essentially the promoter's fault for not having a second ambulance there. So again, in this scenario, it's not the promoter's fault that tires and fuel cans are being left behind because they sell them. I mean, it's not like a restaurant where you go in, you eat the food that you ordered, and you leave your trash all over the table and expect them to clean it up for you. It's not like that. We go into a racetrack and you're supposed to pick up after yourself. You don't leave any trash behind. You don't dump liquids all over the place. You don't leave tie straps all over, or zip ties and just junk all over your pit area. You should be picking up after yourself no matter what. And this just boils down to disrespect of what the rules are in place for pickup procedures regarding your paddock area. I mean, everybody bitches about how much it is for a pit spot. Well, if you don't want to, if you want to keep leaving trash and all this shit behind, then the prices are going to go up. And that's the reality of it, because the facilities are going to get tired of us making their racetrack look like trash every time we leave on Sunday night or Monday morning. And so they're going to raise prices. Well, when they raise prices, then the promoter has to raise prices. And so that means the price goes up for us, the racers.
That's it. All right, let's spin this back into a positive. Dave, give me a little rundown of the Constructors' Championship, which we talked a lot about chassis this particular episode of the EKN Debrief. Give me the rundown on who won what. Yeah,
almost got double digits. So for 20 race wins on the weekend, we almost had a double digit chassis brands. So we had a total of 9, if I counted that right. 1, 2, 3, 9. Tony Kart led the way with 5. So as we talked about, OTK has a good majority of the chassis that are out there. But again, it's still diverse because you have Praga winning with 3. Mind you, it's only one driver who did that, with Oliver Calvo. FA Kart had 3 victories of its own. So OTK with a total of 8 there and 2 with Cosmic, so a good amount for them.
Half the wins.
Yep. GFC picking up 2 with Nico Serafati in the micro division. Burrell Art with 2, thanks to Jake French, and then CRG, DR Kart, and VLR all with 1 victory.
There you have it. That's your Constructors Championship breakdown. Now it's time to talk, folks, and we'll cap things off with a look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar for our next month, where David Cole and I will be trackside with our program of bringing coverage and live audio. This edition of the EKN Trackside Live race calendar brought to you by Streeter Superstands. With decades of experience and an unbeatable reputation, Streeter Superstands leads the way in quality, innovation, and affordable lifts, stands, and an amazing selection of trailer and shop accessories to make you the envy at every event. From local club racers and regional warriors to the top pro tour teams, racers demand the best, and Streeter Superstands builds it. Roll with the best and shop online at StreeterSuperstands.com. All right, David Cole. Let's talk about 3 events that we've got going. 3 events over 2 weekends over essentially the next month. March the 13th, 14th, 15th, Supercarts USA kicking off their pro tour with the 4th running of the Winter Nationals, NOLA Motorsports Park, New Orleans, Louisiana. It'll be the first pro tour race ever that I haven't announced, which is kind of gutting for me. Same weekend conflict with the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg with the Road to Indy and the IndyCar program, so I'll be in Florida for that weekend. I won't be there to announce the Winter Nationals, which sucks, but we're bringing Xander Clemens in, and Xander does a fantastic job, and he'll be the guy on the mic for this particular EKN Trackside Live program.
He will be talking up a storm, a lot of races to cover on that weekend, so you'll be hearing his voice all day long, both Saturday and Sunday, and then Friday evening when we do a little pre-qualifying show that night. So now you're going to kind of understand how I feel. Now, mind you, it's good that we're missing it. You're missing a race for another race. It's better that it's not something else, that could be happening on in life. So again, you're going to a different race. So you kind of have that feeling I had back in 2010 during the Summer Nationals when you were in Shawano, Wisconsin, and I was in Newcastle for the Rotax Grand Nationals.
Yeah, it'll be tough because I'll be busy as hell at St. Petersburg. I never really stop there, but I'll make sure I'll definitely have Race Monitor open to find out who's winning races and getting some of the broadcasts as well. 2 weeks after that, David, another double-double. You and I, we're at the same weekend, different tracks. We have EKN Live 1 and EKN Live 2 on the website, a couple different channels. March 27, 28, 29, I will be at Sonoma for the Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center finale of the Challenge of the Americas. Looking forward to getting out to Sonoma as well to see who wins the championship. You will be on the East Coast in Florida for the United States Pro Kart Series. They're going to open up their season at Ocala Grand Prix.
I'm looking forward to it. Love going down to Florida, going to Ocala Grand Prix, the bull ring of karting. Very exciting racing that happens there. Tight fields, so you get a lot of again, it's like the Bristol of karting. You get a lot of side by side and nose to tail action. It'll be a fun weekend. I'm upset that I have to miss the Challenge in America's finale again. Unfortunately, the 2 programs are scheduled on the same weekend. But again, we're going to have probably record numbers at the U.S. Pro Kart Series. And then hopefully maybe record numbers again at Challenge in America. So we're going to have 2 major events on different coasts at the same weekend, showing that the karting is going strong right now.
Yeah, the bottom line is, knowing the numbers you're probably going to get out there, probably up into the 180s, 190s kind of thing. What's the record for USPKS right now?
170 something. So in the 170s.
So let's say you get into the 180s or maybe even higher than that this year. It could be big, man. You could be 200 at that race. You never know. If we top 150, we're talking about having at least over 300 to 320 racers racing on that weekend and some pretty big events.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say at least 300 drivers at 2 major events there. So it's pretty good.
That's awesome. All right, folks, that's going to cap things off this edition of the EKN Debrief. David Cole and I giving you the full review of the second event, the rounds 3 and 4 of the Rock Cup USA Challenge of the Americas at Cal Speed Karting. It was an awesome trip there. As I said before, we did have some fun. We smashed some burgers on Friday. That was a lot of fun. all in all, we love being part of this Challenge in America's program. And I think, David, you'll reiterate the fact that it's just super cool to see this program get some growth, get some strength, get a lot of happy people leaving the racetrack. The racing was amazing from start to finish. Having strong series is good for this sport. And to see the Challenge in Americas hit that record number this weekend, I think was absolutely massive.
It was great to be part of history. I know we didn't do anything; we just kind of called the action. But it is cool, always cool to be part of karting history.
Big thank you to Andy Saisman and the whole crew there at FTK Full Throttle Promotions having us as part of the Challenge in Americas again this year. We look forward to doing it again in 2021. We're done for this edition of the Debrief, folks. Lots of stuff happening here on the EKN Radio Network. If you haven't downloaded the app to your phone, your mobile device, get that done. We're on iTunes, Google Play. You can also subscribe to us on Spotify, and you can always go to podbean.com to get the results as well, or the audio as well. And again, the link on eKarting News, eKartingNews.com/podcast for all the podcasts, eKartingNews.com/radio for the only 24/7 karting radio station in the world. Again, big thanks to Andy Saisman on behalf of David Cole. My name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.